Very good afternoon, sir. Thank you for coming on the show, Clyde Talk. Let me just give you the brief of Clyde Talk. Clyde Talk is all about understanding the perception in terms of safety and the challenges many organizations will face. That is how Clyde Talk started. Uh, I formally welcome you to this show.
Thanks, Mr. Mahendra. It's my pleasure to talk to you, and I think it's a great platform and that we can share our thoughts.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So, today's topic is all about, we were talking about the safety culture. As many companies are working, having the operation working from home, and with the zero operation, zero revenue for many companies, not like the essential business who are working or operational with some kind of working capacity, but the organization who has zero revenue and zero operation, many challenges are there in front of many companies. So we thought we will discuss with you on the safety culture aspect, how to keep the maturity level of the safety culture at the highest level, maybe the sustainable level or the generative level during the lockdown period and after the lockdown period. So this is what I thought I should talk about with you. But before I could proceed with the today's topic, let me introduce you to the viewers who will be watching this video. Today we have with us Dr. Raju Kala, who has 30 plus year of experience in the field of safety. He is working with Unilever as of now as a she lead nutrition business and still operating. I could see that he's still busy with a lot of work. So once more, I want to thank you that you finally agreed to give the time for this show, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mahendra. In fact, this is the app topic for the current scenario. The way we are working, the most of the people are virtually working, but managing the show, ensuring the safety of the people. And there are some butterflies also into the stomach, like what will happen after the COVID situation, how we'll manage the situation, what are the things going to be changed, and what are the rule of the games which are going to be changed. I think that's a good discussion topic and it's the need of the day. And I'll really thankful for bringing this topic up for the discussion.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So, to proceed with the topic, as I said, we'll be talking on the safety culture aspect, how companies should maintain that. So, what do you think are the maybe the current challenges or the future challenges organization will face in terms of maintaining the high level of maturity in terms of safety culture?
Okay, culture is a very big and great topic to discuss. And I think this is again one of the questions that we have to answer, like what are the challenges we if can foresee in the future to how the safety culture would be. So before going to the question, I would like to talk a little bit about the culture. So what is a culture? So culture is something we can define as the way we do the things in an organization, and that too, especially when no one is watching or observing us. That's the culture. And safety culture of an organization, if I have to say, that places a high level of importance on the safety belief, value, behaviors, and attitude. And these are shared by the people within the company or workplace. That's how the culture and safety culture is. And obviously, the positive safety culture can result in improved workplace health and safety and organizational performance. That has been an established fact. So now, uh, how to ensure that there is a culture? So I'm just giving an example. If a visitor is there who has to enter a factory, he's at the gate, and after entering, he can quickly understand what is the culture, safety culture of the company. He or she gets the safety instructions at the gate, maybe verbal in form of writing, audio, video, some do's and don'ts, road traffic instructions, what to do in case of emergency, how to report unsafe actions conditions, etc., etc. A declaration form is filled, PPs are provided, and host is called. And this is a typical procedure which is followed most of the organizations. Now, till now, he has not ensured what is the culture of the safety culture of the organization. Now, visitor enters, and while going to the reception, he is crossing the roads and company roads, and he can see that people are crossing the road using zebra crossing. They are not walking on the road. They are using pathways to walk on the roads. The two-wheeler, four-wheeler which are going out of the factory are wearing helmet and safety belts. And if he get a chance to see machines, then machines are properly guarded. This is how he see, and he started establishing that yes, the company has a very good safety culture because no one is watching, but the things are in auto mode and people are following it. Now he was asked to wait for some time, and because the site in charge is into the safety committee meeting. In the meanwhile, he see charts on the wall, surrounding walls, wherein the TNI, training need identification and actual trainings charts are there, lesson learned from the incidents are there, and some of the safety related documents are there. So he can now establish that yes, the company has a safety culture within the 5 or 10 minutes of his visit. This gives a impression of positive safety culture. Now, talking about the future challenges for safety culture. I remember the time when I started my career. At that time, the position was the safety officer. That was the one person in the organization who has to ensure the safety of the employees, a huge employee workforce. The position that time was created more to meet the regulatory requirement, the requirement of the Factories Act. But now safety has expanded a lot and has become SHE, where all the three pillars equally contribute for a successful EHS professional. Safety has really become the line responsibility. It is no more only into the KPI of safety professional, but it is considered at all the levels, top to the bottom. And safety challenges keep expanding. That's a truth, and we all agree to it. And especially the current COVID situation, it has expanded like anything. We are not habituated to work for such long lockdowns and complete shutdown of operations or the processes. And say this situation has given us the food for the thought to use smarter technologies to build so that we can ensure the good safety or positive safety culture in the future. Application and technologies of smart devices or cloud solutions, robotization and automation or co-robots we generally say, deep learning and big data, which gives us the real-time data, and operating model like company borders will become permeable, and organization might build platform to interact with different and independent market players to create the value to the customer. And digital culture, of course, and I don't want to talk much about this, but these changes in ways of working will bring in the need of changing approach from lagging to leading indicators. The more focus will be on to the leading indicators than the lagging, and promote the wellness of the workforce. And this will require to develop a vibrant and vigorous wellness program that focuses on most identified health issues found in the specific workplace population. Now, the companies will need to be thinking of injury prevention and wellness plan together for their people. Like we do for the preventive maintenance for the plants or the machines we do. So this will provide safety and health professionals with unprecedented opportunities to improve workplace safety through the deployment of wearable technology. Now, access to more granular real-time risk data will usher in a new age of safety. The challenge for safety and health professional will be harnessing this explosion of data to design, communicate, and implement timely and effective risk-based solution. So this is the way how the culture is going to be formed in the future. New technologies will become the part of organizational need and the culture, and these need to be imbibed in our safety culture regime, which might change the definition of safety culture, and all the EHS professionals have to gear up to meet the changing environment. Apart from this, another set of challenge in managing safety culture would be related to the factors contributing to the lower level of physical, psychological, and emotional maturity, limited education and job skills, along with the less work experience of the workforce. Uh, and obviously, this is going to increase the risk in EHS management, because the post COVID situation, probably these are some of the areas which we have to work with, and we have to equip ourselves to work with these challenges. Uh, and obviously, for one more future challenge would be the aging worker population, which will create unique challenges to the companies focused on improving occupational health and safety conditions in the workplace. Say, for example, we are hearing about migrant workers nowadays. Now, the migrant worker, who will come to the factory, may start work healthy, but due to the complexity and diversity of working condition, uh, often render them highly vulnerable to the poor physical and mental health issues. So, as the person ages, his physical abilities continue to decline, while the work requirement remains constant. We require the same amount of output from the worker or from the employee. But due to the various employment and disability laws, we are pushed to learn to be creative with our jobs and processes so that we can meet the limitation of our employees. This will be need of a major, rigorous, and enterprise-wise ergonomics initiative, and that will help to increase our ability to identify risk and educate the employees. So all these need a certain level of skill and knowledge, which I have mentioned earlier. All these points, they require a certain set of skill and knowledge. And currently, there could be the gaps in achieving the desired levels. But to bridge this gap, a comprehensive program to train and update employees to build a robust and positive safety culture is required. And at the same time, the EHS professional have to gear up to meet this requirement.
Oh, that's really eye-opening for me, honestly, because you talked about starting from the belief that safety culture is all about when nobody's watching, people have to do. This is the right time when nobody's watching anybody. Everybody's working from home. So to build that culture, I could understand there are few things which talked about. One, you talked about company should go for digitalization. Second, you talked about there has to be a collaborative approach in the injury and the health. This program has to be designed together now, or in the same way. It can't be separated. It has to be in one platform. You talked about the ergonomics also. So now the role of a safety head is going to change, and he has to look at multiple aspects with deep learning, with big data analysis, and the real-time risk assessment. Though there will be some challenges, but the safety professional has to get to get into the digitalization mode and ensure that the safety culture is maintained with the help of these tools you're talking about. That is what I could understand. So having understood this, as you said, one line about the safety culture, that nobody is watching whether I'm doing the right job. So as the situation is the same, nobody's watching. Everybody's working from home in isolation. So what do you think are the key pillars for safety culture? Are they the same? What is to have? As you mentioned that you started your career and there was nothing called safety. It was just a regulatory framework. After safety culture started building. So do you think the safety pillars what was there in the past will remain the same here onwards to keep the safety culture generative in the generative mode?
See, if we talk about the key pillars, or few of the organization name it as the drivers for the safety culture. So more or less, if we see the crux of the all the pillar is same. Few organizations have 5 pillars. Few organizations have 25 drivers for safety culture. Uh, but the end result should be that all the requirement to drive a safety culture is uh, is into our safety culture regime. And for that, we have to understand what influences the culture of our organization, uh, what makes makes a significant contribution in changing employee attitude and behavior, and especially when I'm repeating my word and which you have captured rightly, especially when nobody is watching. uh, uh, for a safety culture to be successful, it need to be led from the top. uh, it was a big mistake in the earlier days when the safety culture was thought that it starts from the bottom, but it should be from the top, which means that safety culture need to be embraced and practiced by even the CEO of the company. I have many good examples when the CEO of the company has taken hard steps for themselves to meet the safety requirement. Like I just want to quote a simple example uh, of an organization where I'm working with. We have a stringent road safety management rule there. So there is no driving allowed interstate after sunset. So our MD was driving from location A to location B, and that time it was somewhere this evening around 6:30 or 7. Sun was about to set. He left his car and he took, as per the company protocol, the uh, local transportation. When we say local transportation, it cannot be taxi or auto, but the public transport, wherein minimum 15 people can sit, and he came back to his home. So this is what he has demonstrated, and I don't see any hurdle to the people down the line not to follow this system. When a top man can do it, the people down the line are obviously they are motivated to do that. So the culture is always from always top driven. Strong leadership and management commitment is directly related to the safety performance, as it demonstrate by examples to the employees. uh, and many and organization have customized safety culture program as per the need of their process. But essentially there are some of the key drivers. Going forward, the drivers are going to remain the same, but maybe yes, their definition might change. Like if whenever we talk about the safety culture, the first thing we talk about is the management commitment, which is how the safety is perceived in the management priorities. Is it a visible management, or it's only a lip service that the management says that yes, we have to do this, we have to abide this rule, we have to do like this, but they themselves don't do it, or they themselves don't demonstrate it. So the visible management and demonstration is required. Do they talk about the safety when they are in workplace? And is the workforce see him as a role model? Do they walk the talk? Do they motivate and inspire others to work towards achieving a particular goal or outcome by sending clear and consistent message about importance of workers health and safety? That is the most important thing, which is the pillar for safety culture. The second thing comes into it is the communication part. uh, how the communication is being done from top to the bottom. Is there two-way communication about safety, or it's only one way, that management is sending all the communication and they're not hearing back from the worker down the line or people down the line, like what are their pain areas and what are their suggestions? Because they hearing them not only motivates them, but we get wonderful ideas how to implement safety, because they are the right persons, they work there, they know their system better than anybody else in the organization. Third point here, I would like capture as a employee engagement and involvement. How are the people at all levels are involved, especially the operators or the contractor workers per se, into the safety in deciding any course of action? How often are the individual employees asked for their inputs on safety issues? How often operators report unsafe action or unsafe action or near misses in their area? So we should have a constructive program to capture all these things, and they should be given a feedback about what they have suggested or what they have communicated to the management. The fourth and very important pillar is training. So now training, do employee feels confident that they have all the trainings that they need? Training has been provided, but how much they have absorbed and how much they have implemented, that is a bigger question, because we have to ensure that whatever training we provide, one could be providing the overview, one could be providing the how part, how to do certain tasks with the safety, and how their capability assessment to be done after providing training. Maybe we have to take some feedback, maybe the supervisor has to have the close watch after some of the trainings, how he is performing. And uh, perception about the hazard and risk identification, that is to be provided through training. Uh, that is something, in nutshell, I'm covering in training and information. Then next point come is motivation. Although it is there in all the above points which I have mentioned, but there be a structured program around motivation, like are managers giving feedback to the safety performance? If yes, then how? Is that structure or the governance mechanism, or whatever we name it, is appreciated by all people, all the employees in the factory? Uh, do managers also always confront unsafe acts, or they really go and do it, do the correction? Uh, And do employees feel proud in reporting unsafe actions and unsafe behaviors? If answer is yes, then we are very much there towards the journey for a safety culture. Again, we can have compliance with the procedures. So each company has SOPs, procedures, guidelines, standards. So a written procedure, uh, then understanding, then training, then auditing, and then review mechanism, then closure of action, which we call CAPA. So these are the part of compliance to the procedure, which is one of the another driver for safety culture. And the last one I would like to take up, that is the organization learning, which is very much apt in the current situation because we have never seen the lockdowns before. So what we have learned, how we are taking it forward, how we are building our safety culture in the future on our learning. So this is something which will form which I'll give the name as the safety drivers or safety pillar for a culture in an organization.
Thank you so much, sir. You have summarized it, all the pillars. You say drivers, we say pillars. Many companies, but at this point of time, as you say, it's all about the top driven. Employees should be, there should be a strong communication channel in a two-way. You talked about, you said employees should be involved and engaged. They should be motivated, and this is the right time to have a learning culture. If they learn now, you'll get the fruits. It's like sowing the seeds now, and you get the fruits in the later, once the lockdown is over and companies start operating in full capacity. So having said that, still there are some organizations who are operating with minimum capacity under the essential business. So what will be your suggestion to those companies? How they should encourage safe production? Why I'm asking this question, to have a safe production, because people already have fear in their mind about various aspects which is going around this COVID-19 or the lockdown period. So in this already stressed situation, how to keep the workforce encouraged to have a safe production in the company?
Thanks for this question, Mr. Mahendra. In fact, I was expecting this question because I think without this question, this conversation would not have been completed. So that's a fantastic question, because all the organization in their individual capacities are doing to promote safety culture during this lockdown period. So I'll try to compile some of my learnings during this period of what we are doing, or what we have learned from the other organizations. But before going for that, I would like to say that the companies that want to have a positive safety culture, which everyone owns, should develop and promote managers with the right knowledge, skill, and attitude to undertake the responsibilities of the safety. That is the bottom line for encouraging the culture. In the current period of lockdown, if we talk about it, when most of the people are working from home, and it becomes very, very difficult for common engagements, but there are many ways where a competency building communication can be very, very effectively managed. Now, as I said that I'll try to talk about some of the points. So a few points I would like to mention here. So senior managers can utilize this time in conducting town halls or webinars. Department heads can demonstrate the need of the safety and sharing their thoughts onto it, and uh, this can be cascaded to all the employees in the organization, so that some of the organization, those who are working, those who are not working, which is now they have started working, and we can see that in next couple of months we cannot see the 100% workforce there. So this is going to be I'll say a ramban for all the organizations to keep people motivated, ensuring that yes, management is with them. We are continuously watching the situation, we are supporting them, and in case of any eventuality, we are together as a family. We have worked and we'll keep on working. uh, but in the current scenario, we need to form a incident man team, because you never know when you can have the COVID infected or COVID suspected case in the organization. How to deal with that employee? What is our procedure? Whom to report? How to take care of employee? How to take care of family? How to take the daily feedback about the family and the employee, whether the situation is deteriorating or improving, or any other assistance is required. So all these things should be laid down in form of a procedure, and we have to uh, rehearse it also, like we rehearse emergency response plan. And in this, most important is how we maintain social distancing, how we make the arrangement of zoning and tracing of the employee. Uh, so this is all is to be captured in the incident management team. It is called as IMT or core team or core management team. Name could be different, but the intention is the same. Then this period can also be utilized for inviting suggestion. We can have a full-fledged suggestion scheme wherein the suggestions can be invited. People can write it. People can discuss it virtually. A long discussion, whatever is required on implementation of those suggestions, this time can be utilized for it. Uh, Training and competency building, obviously, webinars, trainings, etc., can be organized and utilize this period. Then this is the period which I feel is very, very important and apt for developing some of the applications for safety. Because see, these last 60 days have taught us how to work virtually. We were not used to it. Now we have a dependency on the computers and the applications. Now we can have more applications. Say for example, in the COVID situation, we can have a app in our mobile with the Bluetooth on. When employee is working on the shop floor, in case if anybody is there within 2 meter of distance, which we call the safe distancing, then it will start giving the alarm. So automatically one will understand that somebody is very close to me, so I have to maintain the distance. It is just an example, and cannot restrict the thought process of anyone. We can go up to any level. So this could be done. Then practicing emergency response plan, as I said, business continuity plan along with the our working. What if my plant is shut? How I'll make sure that production is being done in another organization or another factory or another third party or another site, whatever we can name it. What is the plan? Do they have the same infrastructure which is required for this, and for how many days it can be done. So this plan can be developed and practiced during this time. Then to have a regular contact with the employees, the virtual tea, virtual coffee can be organized with by the senior leadership team with the employees, wherein some official chit chat can happen, wherein some informal chit chat can happen. But the purpose is to take the dump of health of each employee through these platforms, so that management is confident that yes, my employees are safe, and employees are confident that management is with me in all these challenging time. Then it has triggered one more need to have a push button SOP or single touch SOP. Like if anything happens of this pandemic situation, in this pandemic situation, then I have a single SOP stating what are my steps to follow and what are the links there. Instead of going into the multiple SOPs or multiple standards, I should have only one which is linked with all the SOPs, and that should be communicated widely, understood by each one in the organization. Then we cannot go to the factories because of the travel restrictions, but tabletop exercises, especially for COVID, are very helpful in this scenario. But in these exercises, management, staff, and employees should be involved. Maybe the cases can be considered for COVID. There could be the list of 8 or 10 or 15 scenarios that can be considered, and that these can be practiced, and gap assessment can be done, and we can work on that. Second is into the tabletop exercise. Shortly, we are going to commence our process, or some of the organization have already started working. So PSSR is a requirement, pre-startup safety requirement, which we should rehearse through tabletop exercise, so that when the actual plant opens, we should be immediately do the PSSR and we start our operations without harming anybody into the site. This will also help us in identifying hazards for startups. Like for 60 days, the plant is shut, the chemical is there in the pipeline. So with the startup, what will be the effect on that chemical? Can this lead to any accident or not? Or is it what is the safe method to retrieve that chemical? So these things, these questions can be considered in the PSSR, PSSR and through PSSR for hazard identification. The another thing which we also practice, discussion forums for EHS with the different levels, discussing issues, way forwards, post-COVID plans, etc., etc. Because this has given us some sort of liberty to work on, spend time on planning for EHS for the future. And one more important point I would like to discuss here is hat changing. You can say it hat changing or shoe changing. Leadership members, especially for leadership members, they can now wear the hat of a safety and take the lead and manage the show this time. See what are the actual problems at the ground, what are the challenges, how to drive the safety, how to handle the COVID situation. So these are something which will be very, very fruitful, and by this changing hat or shoes, the leadership team also understand more about the safety requirements, and they'll be now when the plants will restart up, uh, they'll act very prominently to identify and have the firm action plan against the hazards identified. And another last point I would like to mention here, this time can be utilized for the pulse surveys. Maybe you can use it for HR, maybe you can use it for other, maybe for motivation. Many things are there, but essentially for safety also, we can have some pulse survey, which will give us an insight what employees say about safety and what are the actions that we can take going forward to ensure the safety of the employees. So these are some of the points coming into my mind right now.
No, that's really wonderful. What I could understand, one thing that at this point of time, to keep people engaged, And to have a safe production, leadership should change their role. They should put different hats and be with their men to encourage safe production at this point of time, because you will never get the complete resource what is required due to the present situation. And as you said, there are maybe it may take 2 to 3 months to get the entire resource on board and then start the complete production. So with the limited resources, the leadership need to keep changing their hat, play different roles with their men, and keep encouraging them, keep engaging them, keep motivating them, talk to them, understand them, conduct some webinars. So there are multiple things we talked about to keep your workforce engaged. And the last thing which you said, you've been saying from the very beginning that top management should always do a hand holding, that we are there for you, don't worry. If something goes wrong, we have a standard SOP. You said one touch point, push button. You said push button. That SOP is there, so you not to worry. We will take care of everything. You just be focused on the workplace without any kind of stress in your mind, or maybe any kind of fear in the mind. That is what you're talking about. So having understood all those things, now as you are already working, you are in the essential business. So what are the few new initiatives you have taken, you and your team basically has taken in terms of keeping the safety as the first priority in the organization? Because now the priority is different, but in that also, how to keep the safety as a priority?
Okay, though this topic itself require a long time to discuss, because there are many initiatives, new learnings, new challenges we have gone through in last 60 days, 60, 70 days, but I'll try to keep it short and crisp considering the time. So this period has taught us many things, but with all having said, the taking care of employee was the utmost requirement in this challenging time. All the possible and extended support were provided to the employees, those who were working during during this time. Corporate and site she teams were instrumental in implementing the global and Ministry of Health recommendation innovatively at site, so that site don't face burden because of these. List is very huge. I am not going into the list, so I'm just giving a summary of like what we did uh, to support the sites and ensure the safety of the people. We have also included our warehouses. We have also included our third parties into this for implementing our guidelines. A huge amount of funds have moved to COVID to ensure that our employees do not get infected from coronavirus. And we have created a special funding to meet this requirement. We have also issued the guidelines for work from home safely. That was well before the Ministry of Health has issued guidelines. We have also developed and circulated the tiered guidelines as the cases were keep on increasing in India, and the zoning, the areas were changing from green to orange to red. So we also have the tiered approach to meet those points. And to avoid confusion on any type of deployment of action, we issued the guidelines, be it the type of mask required, how to wear the mask, hand sanitization, thermal screening at the gate and during middle of the shift, periodic disinfection of high touch points in the site, social distancing, monitoring of employees' health, declaration from the truck drivers, the employees, disinfection of vehicles, including trucks which are coming to the factories, zoning of the zoning within the site, so as to ensure the interzone movement and contact tracing. These are some of the examples that were communicated through guidelines and were checked at the site for the implementation. I would especially like to mention out of all these, discuss a little bit about the social distancing. There were a lot of challenges, especially in Canada and some of the manufacturing areas, where we dealt with the innovative ideas to ensure the social distancing is there. So wherever the social distancing was not possible, we had some partition in between, or we have created some temporary infrastructure like change rooms we required. So lockers were moved to the different areas, and from there the employees have to change it and then enter into the GMP areas, which is the manufacturing area, without compromising on any of regulatory guideline. That was very important for us. Apart from this, we have worked very well on the comorbid cases. Comorbid cases are the employees which are vulnerable to the COVID infection, and we have taken care of them as well, very in a proper manner. Uh, Apart from this, if I talk about is the emergency plan, COVID emergency plan, which I have already discussed in my previous uh, answer to my previous questions. So we have developed 8 scenarios minimum, and plans were prepared and mock drills were conducted around that. Uh, Tabletop exercise, I have already said that we conducted tabletop exercise because that was the only only media for us to ensure the application at site. Uh, Although many many low cost innovations were done at sites, but considering that we have to work with these guidelines for a few more months probably. So we are also working on developing more mobile apps and so for social distancing and automation of temperature screening without any manual intervention. Though some of the things are available in the market, but looking for low cost solutions, so we are working on in-house development also. So this is some of the idea like what we did during the COVID situation.
That's really wonderful, sir. Thank you for sharing all your valuable thoughts on various questions, so that safety culture should be kept at the highest level in the maturity level. I appreciate your valuable time for giving for this talk and coming on the show. But before I could leave, before we could formally come to an end of the show, uh, I want you to maybe some of your thoughts to safety professional who will be watching this, what they can do at this point of time during the lockdown period. So some of the thoughts you want to share with them.
So in this unprecedented time, I think this is safety professionals, those who are burdened double. They have to ensure that employees are not getting affected, and the regular stuff, that is accident prevention and hazard identification, that also has to go hand in hand. Uh, so this time has never happened in the past, and touch wood, it should not come back again. But we can't predict our future. So so my advice to safety to professionals will be uh, uh, that to keep yourself ready for such pandemics. Uh, Now the economy is going to has already been hit badly, and it will take 2 to 3 quarters or might be a year to completely heal it. So many organizations have moved their funds to fight the COVID requirements, and many of the projects will take the back seat. Maybe they'll get postponed, they'll be cancelled or whatever. There will be huge pressure on cutting cost on EHS projects as well. So in this scenario, the safety professionals have to be more judgmental and influential in deciding the priorities. So we are part of management, so we can't say that this is thing which we have listed earlier when we have to do. So now we have to some differentiate between must to do and good to do. So all the must to do must we must gadget for that, and for that I have said that we have to be influential and judgmental in deciding. Uh, so my advice to all the safety professionals, apart from the budgetary and the projects, uh, like try to link your EHS projects with the productivity. If those results in the productivity, it will be easy to get the budget sanctioned. A couple of points I would like to mention here, starting with the safety maturity. Uh, That is something the operational improvement through advanced safety system. This improves the productivity. So work around this aspect. Be more collaborative. Improve your PR. Talk to people within or outside organization, uh, and discuss on ideas. And during this, many people have designed low cost automation. Go grab it, implement it. No one can stop you. Look for alternatives to reduce some of the conventional safety requirements. One I'll like point out here, like Lotto is one of the requirement. Can there a can there be a way wherein without implementing Lotto we can work safely? Can there be a way with permit to work we can work safely? Answer could be yes. Try and work on that and eliminate this time, and this directly be appreciated by management and it will improve productivity. Involve people in your thought process. You'll get the ideas how to do it. Digital transformation and virtual working, which is something very, very important and need of the hour. What if the such episodes are repeat? This time is repeated. Next time we'll not have opportunity to say that this is the first time has happened and we are learning. So we have learned from this time, and now we should know how to survive. So if we are into the digital transformation and habituated to the virtual working, this will empower safety professional real-time understanding of behavior, causes of safety shutdown and trends. But at the same time, be very, very careful because bundle of data will be generated because of digitization, digital transformation, whatever you name it. So the safety professional have to be should have the capabilities to cut this data into actionable. Otherwise, the entire system will collapse. So this is something new, which is going to be added into the skill of the professionals. Then adopt triple S, smart safety systems. Identify whenever the project is at the is into the initial stage. Try to identify the equipments which have smart safety system. Smart safety system is something. These are the smart devices interventions. These automatically themselves create the predictive maintenance for the own maintenance requirement of the machine, and it gives on giving the alarm. So the dependency, the manual intervention or dependency on human being get reduced, and this can be the going forward the way of working in the organization. Which this is again something which very important. I thought that I should include it, and then try to anticipate certain and immediate consequences of such conditions or such pandemics. Natural ways of working in occupational health and safety by involving more and more people into it. So this is something, the advice which I would like to give to my fellow safety professionals. And in the last, I would like to mention that lockdown has shattered our life, but has given a fair chance for environment also to heal. Clean air, which we can see only in the mountain range. We used to go there to see the clean air, clean environment. Now we can see it from our house, even hundreds of kilometers. The mountain range from our houses are visible. Gray sky has turned blue, no pollution, no traffic on the road, clear river water like we read in the newspaper or and through WhatsApp messages also, how clean the water of Ganga has become. This is the perfect weather we always dreamed of. And trust me, the people, those who are 70, 80-year old, they are also saying that in their lifetime they have seen first time this type of clean environment. Now, just think about it. Can we sustain it? can we do something so that we can have this type of environment on a regular basis? Answer is to some extent yes, because during last 60 days we have learned that we need only the basic things to survive. Think about it. Ask yourself, can we have such intentional lockdowns to improve AQI in the future? Can we take a lead? Can we suggest our management? Can we suggest to the government in case we are working together with the government? How can we avoid using vehicles? We have heard it about many times, like go for the pool car and all these things. Now, do we have the zeal to execute it? And last but not the least, spend more time with your family. Nothing is important than your family. It is worth to remain out. Is it worth to remain out from the home for a long time, long period, or to remain indoor with the family? I think this period has given us this answer. Watch movies, play Ludo, play cards, whatever manner you can spend time with your family, because there's nothing important than your family. So this is my some of the few advices to my fellow safety professionals, which I thought it's worth sharing here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Your thoughts are really appreciable, and I hope many people who will be watching this will be using this thoughts to improve their workplace, improve their skill set on multiple aspects. But I really appreciate your valuable time for the show and talking about safety culture. We'll meet soon again. But thank you for your valuable time, sir, and have a safe stay and a safe production.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.